Hi, this is Lizzie with Story Nerd. And like most nerds, on Christmas Day, I raced home to watch Stranger Things, and I was up till 2:30 watching it, and I was exhausted. I went to bed, and I got up the next day and started reading reviews, and I saw that most people, or maybe not most, but a lot of people were pretty underwhelmed, very critical of what was going on in these three episodes. I had a much different reaction. I found them to be very emotional, and I was very moved. There were pieces of it that felt a little slow to me, because there are so many characters, and then we were moving to just so many emotional beats with different groups of characters in setting up the finale. But overall, I really felt it was great. I really was connecting and crying with all of these big scenes. Now, a lot of people are complaining that this is the finale. We want more action. We want more plot. But as a story coach and a screenwriter, I can tell you that like storytelling is more than just plot. That's the A story. That's what's happening and external to these characters. But just as important is what's happening internally to your heroes, and that's what's the change, the story arc, the character arc that they're going through. And this has been a lot for these characters. They've been going through a lot. So I'm specifically going to talk about Will's character arc because a lot of people were complaining that the Duffer Brothers took way too much time for his coming out episode, for his coming out storyline. And I sort of disagree. I felt this scene was extremely moving, and I felt it was really important to Will's character. This, listen, horror's always been an allegory for our societal and cultural fears. So, homophobia is something that is was a big deal in the 1980s, and that fear drove a lot of horror movies at the time. And so, Will also is a young man coming of age in a world in like suburban Indiana, which does not have a lot of space for a boy like him. He doesn't have any role models. He doesn't know what to expect. He just knows probably a lot of hatred and fear around somebody being gay. So this is very realistic for this time period. So it surprises me that people my age, Gen X, who grew up in this era, in this time and space, would be questioning why this would be so hard for people to come out. Everybody's kind of shrugging their shoulders, like, "Yeah, we know, like we've seen this coming, we've kind of accepted it." But this is the character. He needs to accept it because this is all about Will's journey. Last last episodes, so the first three episodes, four episodes, Will became sort of a hero, right? He realized he can fight Vecna, he can fight evil by tapping into the hive mind, and he's no longer afraid to do that because he's doing it out of a love for his family and friends. But at the same time, he came back to his mother Joyce and said, Vecna can see into my mind and knows my greatest fears, and my greatest fears, he doesn't tell her exactly, but the greatest fears are the thing that he believes his family and friends and community are going to reject him if they knew the true him, if they knew who he truly was, if they knew that he was different. So he does sit everybody down and decides he's going to make this confession and come out to everybody all at once. And I've seen a lot of people online say, like, this is a very intimate thing. Why did he go from telling nobody to telling everybody? But this was a big step for our hero because this is him stepping into his hero role. He is the hero on the outside, and now he's becoming the hero on the inside because he's facing his greatest fears, his greatest internal fears, which is rejection, being ostracized, being cast out by the people he loves the most. So this is a huge step for our hero to take. I don't think it's a small thing. I think it's a huge thing. And I was bawling my eyes out watching this, possibly because I lived through the 80s, or I just have a lot of empathy and compassion for these characters and I love them so much. We know that they weren't going to reject him. We knew that, but he doesn't. And that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal for that time period. And also, I think we can't forget that, like, a major theme of Stranger Things has always been about being different. Does being different make us special, or does being different make us a freak, right? This is what all the nerds in the world, this is why this story speaks to us, because a lot of us felt different in when we were growing up or in high school. We did not feel popular, we did not feel seen, we felt like nerds, and we felt like freaks, we felt like geeks, we felt bullied, we felt invisible. So the story has really spoken to us, those of us who felt different. And maybe everybody feels different. So maybe it speaks to everyone, even the popular kids. But the point is that this is a theme it's been exploring, and we have to tie up the theme as we come into the final curtain, the end game. This is part of it. We have to not just move the plot ahead, we have to move the story ahead, which is the character development, and we have to move the theme ahead. And the theme is, are they special or are they different? And we see that Elle is facing her own fears, which is what makes her different and what makes her special is also poses a threat to mankind. And maybe she's going to have to sacrifice her life to save the world. That's what we're facing as we go into the finale. So this makes a lot of sense for Will's character to face the darkness and to figure out whether or not that darkness is going to help him or hinder him, what makes him different, whether it's going to protect him or hold him back. And he's deciding at this point he can't let it hold him back anymore. He has to be who he is. He has to be who he was born to be. So this is a very big moment for the character. It's not something we could skip over, and I found it very touching and moving and an important part of this hero's journey. And it was acted phenomenally. It was everybody did a great job, and I was really happy and sad about it because it just made me cry so much to see these characters suffering, but now they're ready to fight Vecna and to do away with evil.